Hi everyone, my name is Dana Poe Jr. Master Executive 8, and today I'm going to be talking about vetting women. I talk about vetting women in a few of my videos, but I've never really gone into detail exactly what that entails. So in this video, I want to present some information that can assist you in the vetting process when selecting a mate. So this is important because not doing this can cause you a lot of time, energy, and peace of mind. So this is especially true if you plan on getting married. So everyone's situation is different. So take from this what you need only. And if there's something you think that should be added or left out, let me know in the comment section. So first of all, what does it mean to vet someone or something? To vet means to make a careful and critical examination of something. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the two components of vetting. And those two components I'm going to name large scale and small scale. So the large scale is the beliefs embedded in her that have created her current belief system. That belief system is something that was gained by influence or the way she was raised, and also her personal experience. So who she wants to be and who she becomes is guided by those beliefs. So the other, or the small scale, is determined by the short-term choices that she makes that demonstrate how attractive she is. So the small scale also determines the way that she carries herself, how she speaks, things like how she handles hard times, and the way she behaves in general. So some of the small scale things, they can be adjusted. The large scale things, not so much. So women are designed to follow under a patriarch, and should have a belief system established under that. And my goal for this video is to analyze a woman's large scale and identify if it was established with the proper guidance, and then to proceed to identify and analyze the small scale to finish the vetting process. So to measure whether a woman is qualified in a measured way is not easy, considering a lot of variables. There's a lot that needs to be considered that involves the context and different situations. This is regardless of that difficulty, we're going to attempt to present a guide here to vet women. So the first thing we're going to talk about is the necessary feminine nature and independence conflict. So we have what we want as men, what we want to see from our women, which is her feminine nature. Next, we have, as men, what we want to see in our daughters, and that is her independence. And I'm going to explain why. So a woman's desire to be independent comes at a cost of her feminine nature. So the more of her feminine nature that she loses is usually a result of her pursuit of independence, and that can result in her being less valuable. And this is contrary to what society tells us. Most of the time society tells us the opposite. However, the more she seeks to develop her feminine nature, that also can unbalance the scale to the point to where she increases her chances of being miserable or exposing herself to loss, harm, or failure. So this is quite the dilemma that women face, and we have to look at it in order to see why it may be like that. So no one wants a woman who is just overly masculine. Like, just to get that out the way, that's not what we want. But if we can understand how this happens, this will make us better able to vet, because we don't live in the ideal world where we all were raised the way that we were supposed to be. So let's look at an example of how something like an overly masculine woman can happen. So just picture this, right? So she's the daughter of a father who is sick, and he's unable to make ends meet. So the mother is spending all her time looking after the father. Meanwhile, and so she's unable to go out and work for whatever reason. And now the only thing left is the daughter. So now the daughter by default becomes the breadwinner of the family. Now let's just say, for instance, the daughter is in her 20s. So in her process of making ends meet, I mean, she develops qualities like being disagreeable. She develops qualities like being aggressive. You know what I'm saying? And that stuff eats away at her feminine nature. So, but keep in mind, this trait is to protect her family. Excuse me. This trait is to protect her family, which rightfully so, which is something that she should be doing. So, depending on what part of the world that you're in, this may be something that's actually normal for a family to be going through. But the important takeaway from this is that this same woman, although she may have qualities of disagreeableness and aggression, she also possibly could likely rest in her feminine nature when she meets you, and that same energy of her doing anything to take care of her family and that devotion and that commitment will all go towards you. So this is where I say the flexibility comes in when it comes to this vetting process, because like I said, we don't live in an ideal world. So follow me, right? Like I said, in an ideal world, we only want to deal with women who are feminine. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, we don't live in an ideal world. And this is not to say that you should just have this overly masculine woman in your life. Like, that's not going to work either. But there has to be a balance here. You know what I'm saying? Because especially in this day and age, a lot of women may find themselves providing for a family before they hit the age of 25, whether it's through kids or whether it's through their household. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just simply saying that we need to understand that a woman is making sacrifices when she's selecting a man of high value to be with, and it's important to understand the context of her background when making your selection. Now, like I said, of course, you still gonna have your preferences. You may not want a woman with kids. Boom, that's cool. So like that may, your vetting process may be different from another man's. But this is just, like I said, this is not this is, everyone's different. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, leave me a comment. Let me know what you would add to your vetting process, or what you would take off of this list for your process. So like I said, in the ideal world, we would love for women to be interdependent on the family. But this is not that type of world. You know what I'm saying? Especially if, like, say for instance, you have a daughter, right? Because you want your daughter to be prepared for the worst and be able to handle herself in a respectful way if she had to. And still, using this example of having a daughter, it could be considered poor parenting not to teach a daughter to have a level of independence to have in her life for her own protection. So there's a certain level of respect for a way of raising a girl that way. However, we have to keep in mind balance here, because what's happened in our society today is there's been an unbalance. There's been too much independence and not enough of that coming back to that feminine nature. So that's one thing that a woman of high value does understand, is that over pursuance of independence will lower her value and bring damage to her current relationship or the potential of a future one. So not having a level of independence, though, does leave her vulnerable and unable to fend for herself if she had to. So the development of those masculine traits, or that independence and that aggressiveness and all of that, is actually something that's beneficial for her in her maybe teens, and then maybe in her early 20s, so she can gain that sense of independence and that ability to keep her out of misery. You know what I'm saying? So then in her mid 20s to like late 20s, that would be the time to really start to come away from that path and to settle back into her feminine nature and enjoy that happiness of being a mother, of being a wife to her husband. So this pattern of independence to feminine nature can be investigated pretty easily. Independence and femininity have left and right connotations to it, when it comes to groups. There are 4 things, though, you can find out by speaking to the average woman on a college campus. And that's 1, if she's family oriented or not. 2, her views on feminism. 3, her goals when it comes to the pursuit of her career. And 4, the way she learns. And the key difference here is in her goals. So the high value one would be the one who is working hard to finish her studies, while the one of low value would be thinking, how can she climb the ladder in her career? And the one who finishes her studies will most likely, she'll just get a career with the degree that she has, you know what I'm saying, and then she'll pursue that relationship. She'll look to moving into that, to resting in her femininity and moving into that role as a wife and as a mother. So what matters most is the timing of this whole situation. So between the ages of 20 and 24 is kind of what you want to know, like what went on. Like, because either 2 things have happened. Either she hasn't found a way to stand on her own, or she has, or possibly her family was taking care of her. So like, you want to know how those years were spent. Were they spent partying or developing some sort of discipline while she was sheltered, or while she was cared for by her parents? Also, if she did have opportunities to party but put them aside to focus on something more productive, that's definitely a sign of a woman who has a higher value, because she's willing to focus and be disciplined, like that, versus partying. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that if she went to a few parties or not, the woman's young, the girl's young. You know what I'm saying? They're going to party, but it's like, if she had an assignment due and she said, you know what, I'm not going to party, I'm going to get this assignment done, you know what I'm saying? Like, little things like that are good signs. So we're going to talk about a few more large scale points. Then we're going to move on to the smaller scale traits. So the next large scale trait is her level of agreeableness. And that's going to determine how much time she spent pursuing independence versus developing her feminine nature. This is all a balancing thing. Like, she's either doing one thing or another, or she's doing good at balancing both. So this point touches on a point we talked about previously, and it's something that we have to keep in mind. While you want her to be agreeable, her father wants her to be disagreeable. And this is a great scale to see where her value is placed. So if her agreeableness is less than average, then she's likely to be she's likely to not align with your values, and she's more likely to hold independence over her feminine nature. So keep in mind, though, like I said, that the circumstances can change this situation, and this is what makes vetting not necessarily difficult, but where you'll want to be flexible, because you could have a woman who may not be as agreeable as the average, but still is in her feminine nature due to having a background of maybe having to look after siblings and provide for her family in some capacity. So another large scale thing to look at is her religious background and how devoted she is to her family. So first, when it comes to family devotion, how devoted and committed she is to her family will have a direct connection to how devoted and committed she'll be to you. And a lot of us men, like myself for instance, have tended to just overlook this trait altogether. And that function of her family background reflects either her function or dysfunction, and it'll give you a glimpse at her value. So her relationship with you will also be a reflection on the treatment that she gives and received from her brother, her father, her uncle, whoever, her stepdad, whoever it was that was the prominent male figures in her life. And the maintenance of that respect she has for those male members of her household is significant and definitely worth the effort for her. And next is religion. And when it comes to religion, a woman who has a religious background could have more value than one who doesn't, if that devotion was out of integrity rather than just a need to act to morally appease the faith itself and just the religion itself. On the flip side, religion could also be a red flag because she could be just simply a religious woman who just thinks she does no wrong and doesn't take accountability for her actions. And in this case, I mean, me personally, I would rather have a woman who is not religious but is accountable and responsible for her actions and seeks out her own path on morality on her own. You know what I'm saying? And that is pretty rare nowadays, I will say. So the next thing is small scale traits. So we talked about the large scale traits such as independence and the feminine nature balance. We talked about her level of agreeableness. We talked about her commitment to her family and religion. Now we're going to talk about the small scale traits, which are more than likely will line up with the large scale traits. For example, her commitment and devotion to her family would tie into the small scale trait of being either less or more degenerate. So the first thing is foul language, things like drinking and smoking, and these are huge red flags. You know what I'm saying? Like excessive use of profanity is definitely a huge red flag. Man, I remember dealing with this one woman, man, and I can't even call, I'm not even going to go in on her, but I remember I was in the house. We was downstairs, and I think I was young at the time, and she was very young as well. And I remember her mom like yelled something downstairs, and she just went in on her, like, I mean, cussing her mom out. And like, I was taken aback, but like at the time, the only thing my mind was getting in them drawers. So I didn't even care. I was just like, oh, whatever. It's not like a plan on, wife her anyway. Which actually, interestingly enough, I ended up doing that. You know what I mean? But had I not been thinking with my little head, then I would have seen that and immediately been like, oh no. I don't even want to, like, you shouldn't even want to put your head in that. Just gonna say that. You shouldn't even want that. You know what I mean? But that's a huge red flag. There's really no need for any of us to use excessive profanity for any reason. Let's say, for instance, and this was something that I should have did and I didn't. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, I didn't care. Because like my plan wasn't on vetting. I wasn't vetting. I just wanted to hit. So let's just say, for instance, you are dealing with that situation, and you check her. You tell her, hey, I don't know how you normally act, or I don't know like who else allows this to go on, but you not gonna talk like that while you're around me. Now, from this point, and you just tell her to stop. Like, I'm gonna need you to stop that. I'm gonna need you to stop talking like that. There's no need to be talking like that. Like, that's just really uncalled for. Like, stop. And from that point, if you tell her that that's something that you not going to tolerate, and you from there you can determine her level of agreeableness. If she continues, she's disagreeable. I will just cut it off at that point. She's either disagreeable or she's been faking the whole time, and something happened to make that come out. You know what I'm saying? And she might even have been faking on being agreeable, meaning she was just saying, yeah, okay, yeah, whatever, just to save face. The next thing is smoking. Is another sign of like partying. Something else that I wouldn't advise dealing with. Now, if she used to smoke, I would definitely at the very least find out the reason for that and like how long it was. If she likes to get drunk, I would definitely pass on that. Occasional wine, maybe at an event or something. That's something you could give a pass on. And like I said, man, this is completely up. You are going to have your own vetting process. These are just things that I agree with and that I will be using to vet in my life. Next small scale trait is instigation. What do I mean by instigation? So a woman should, in times of anxiety, she should help you calm down. In times of exhaustion, she should assist you. You know what I'm saying? In times of anger, she should help you settle down. So if that's not happening, then that means the opposite is happening. That means she's instigating the situation. She's making it worse. She's bringing more stress, more exhaustion, more anger in your life. And in turn, she'll more likely also be able to blame you for the reason that she feels that way. And at that point, her values and beliefs are speaking loud and clear. And that feminine nature that she had on, that front that she put on, yeah, it just crumbled. And now her true nature is showing. So if you're able to do this, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it depending on the situation, but if you're able to do this, to test to see if she'll fuel the fire, start a disagreement with her on purpose, just to see what she does. Now, if she tries to diffuse the situation, cool. If she makes it worse, no. You know what I mean? If she seeks to diffuse that situation, that's definitely a huge sign that she may qualify, because she's not looking to fight and argue and be disagreeable. She's not looking for that. I had a situation where I had came home from work, and like I said, I was so tired, I fell asleep on the ground. That's how tired I was. I couldn't even make it to the bed. Fell asleep on the ground. So, because I forget why I was sitting on the ground. I thought I was messing with the dog or something. I was out. I didn't even know I fell asleep. I guess I just hit the floor. But all I remember was her waking me up and being upset because I slept all day. And being angry because we didn't do nothing. And I was just like, I was confused, because I was just like, how do you think these bills are getting paid? You know what I mean? Like, where do you think this money is coming from? You know what I mean? You think I want to be? Man, let me tell you, man, and I'll never do this again, but this is what I was doing at the time. I was literally leaving at 2:30 a.m. to catch 2 buses to get to work at 6 a.m. Got off at 6 p.m. Had to catch like 3 buses home, not getting home till 9 p.m. for at least maybe a good 3 months before I got laid off. Like, literally, like, never seeing the light of day. You know what I mean? Pretty much just making money to pay bills. You know what I mean? And like I said, that is not a position that you want to put yourself in. But at the same time, in my mind, at the time, that was it. I couldn't wait around for something to come. So like, I had this temp job with this temp agency. So I was taking whatever was coming in until I found something else, which I actually ended up finding something else better. But at the time, that's what I was doing. So going through all that and then having to come home and be woke up to you complaining, like, you got to be kidding me. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, I should have left. Because, alright, a lot of people think that when you know, let's say for instance, you become, you know, financially secure, financially independent, like, you do less work. And that is true in a sense. You know what I'm saying? But, like, there are times where you're working all, like, what do you think that's going to change? You think working stops? You know what I'm saying? Like, you think me having to be away from you is going to stop? You think me maybe not having to spend every moment with you is going to stop? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I have stuff to do, I have to, just the point here is, if I have something to do, I have something to do. And if I don't do this, then I can't maintain a certain lifestyle. And if you can't be with that, I shouldn't allow, like, I don't even blame her. I blame me for staying there after that. You know, and I don't even blame myself, but I'm just saying, like, that's a red flag, and that's something that I wouldn't deal with that, because she doesn't get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, even after I explained it, it was still huffing and puffing, and I was like, no. You know what I'm saying? I stayed with that woman for more years than I should have. So that was just an example. Like, yo, I'm telling you, had I vetted, like, done all of this stuff, I wouldn't have gone through a lot of what I went through, which is why I'm sharing this with y'all. So another small scale trait is if she has a large amount of friends or social media friends. And like I said, if she got a lot of friends that stick together, you know what I'm saying? Like, they stick together. This could be a red flag. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying this possibly could be a red flag. And I say that because if y'all fight, right, she won't try to resolve the situation. She'll run to her friends who don't really care too much about you anyway, and they'll make the choices for her on how to deal with your relationship. And I've experienced this firsthand, man. I remember she had one of her girlfriends on the phone, like, on the speakerphone, talking about what's going on around from this one-sided point of view. I was just like, yo, that's so crazy. Like, this woman on this phone is not talking about nothing that's actually going on. She's just one-sided with it. That's all it was. All it was her, all her girlfriends, her mom, her whole family just jumping me. That's all it was. And you know who I had on my side? I don't run in my family when I got... I'm not going to say I don't ask my family for help. I'm not going to say that. But for the most part, I don't really run in my family for help, especially with my relationships. I'm not calling my mom like, hey, mom, I need help dealing with this. Hey, dad, how do I deal with this? I don't do that. You know what I mean? I don't do that. But if she has a large group of friends, this could possibly happen. So... like I said, for these groups of friends that she may have, they'll always be right, and they'll find a way to rationalize. If she go out and do and cheat on you and run you through the ground and just treat you bad, they'll find a way to rationalize that and be like, oh yeah, girl, yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he do this, you do that. If he don't do this, you do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, they'll find a way to rationalize anything that she's doing and to make you the bad guy. Basically, by at the end of the day, you'll be the bad guy. So it's best to just have a woman who just has a few friends. You know what I'm saying? That she don't put over her family time. You know what I'm saying? She don't put over her family time. So the next micro, or the next small scale, is if she uses her body as leverage. So if a woman knows that she looks good and she knows how to use her looks to get what she wants, this is possibly a major red flag with no real cure, because she's always going to look like that. So a woman who gets attention with her body alone has a severely damaged ego and is more likely to always have her options open. The way her eyes move while y'all in public, you know what I'm saying? The way she wears her makeup, the way the type of clothes that she wears, all say a lot about her character. And clothing that is too revealing or too provocative, like shirts that are just way too short, other clothing that just reveals all her cleavage, and pretty much it ain't much to leave up to the imagination. You know what I'm saying? Another thing that you want to pay attention to is the way that she acts around other men while she's in public. If she normally acts a certain way and then changes that when in the presence of other men in public, that is a major red flag. I mean, and I've experienced that person firsthand on several times where I just was like, man, that's crazy, because she don't never act like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just a major red flag. You know what I'm saying? And if she's a model of any kind, I'll probably pass. Next, how arrogant she is. So arrogance, as a mechanism for self-defense, that's one thing. But arrogance for the sake of just being arrogant, that's something else. And this should diffuse when she's in your presence. And if it doesn't, then that means she's probably faking it. And you can't teach an arrogant woman nothing, or you can't tell her nothing about herself. Man, I've talked to women who literally are trying to talk over you while you're talking, who you can tell them stuff that makes sense, and they'll say something that doesn't make sense, but they'll stay with that non-making sense just to not be wrong. Oh man, I remember explaining to this woman what the difference between a vegan and a vegetarian, the differences. This wasn't recently. This was a while ago too, but and it was like she kept trying to tell me, mind you, she don't even eat neither one of those ways, and just kept trying to tell me what it was. And she was like, yeah, vegans eat fish, vegetarians eat fish, and I'm just like, no, they don't. Pescatarians eat. She was like, well, I know somebody that is, and they eat. And I'm just like, yo, I'm trying to tell you, you don't believe me, you go look it up. You know what I'm saying? She kept, and it was just she just kept, she wouldn't even go. The one thing that boggles my mind is when you tell somebody something and you tell them where to go find the information, you tell them not to believe you, but they don't do that. They just want to just stay with what they know. You know what I'm saying? And man, I'm gonna keep it real. I've been guilty of that, but yo, that's something that if you just see that's a thing with her, I wouldn't even deal, bro. So the last thing is her body count, and a lot of people say this doesn't matter. Some people say it does matter. I'm just gonna, in my personal opinion, it does. And pretty much, if she's not a virgin, I would say the next best thing is maybe 3 partners or less. And that might even be too much, because by 3 she's been pair bonded. I'm gonna make another video about pair bonding, but by anything over 3, that's your call. I'll let y'all call that one. For me though, and man, I'm telling you, this is gonna eliminate a lot of women, man. There's a lot of women, man. A lot of these women they don't just have body counts. A lot of these women got high body counts, man. More than you would think. And most of them lie about it. You know what I mean? Most women lie about their body count. Understandably, because if you tell me you've been with 20 and 30, no, I'm straight. I'm definitely cool. No, I'm cool. Now I'm cool. I'm at a certain time, man, let me see, man, I don't really know how I necessarily feel about the body count, but I do feel anything over 3 is just it's a little bit too, 3 is in a perfect world, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I know I don't have to settle. I don't have to. I don't. So, yeah. So, like I said, more than that, it's possibly a red flag for some. This matters because this says a lot about factors like the ability to control their impulses, degenerative behavior, and self-control. So for instance, like I said, if she has 3, that means she's possibly had 3 relationships or more, or 3 partners or less before the age of 27. All possibilities. So in conclusion, would most women pass this vetting test? And most likely the answer is no. In fact, as I was doing this video, I was thinking of some potentials I had on my mind, and it was like getting vetted as I was doing it, and I was just like, yeah. So one thing to keep in mind though is that us men as a whole, we ain't perfect either, and we got issues too, and that we need to be working on our issues while we're waiting for the most compatible woman to turn up. So vetting in today's society should be something that we take realistically as well. Like I said, in the ideal world, all the women would be virgins. We all would have 2-parent households. We all would be raised by men and women. But like this ain't that type of world. And we should be realistic when we're doing this process and understand that the women that we come across may need to be corrected in some areas. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not going to come perfect. You know what I'm saying? She'll come as close as she can, and you can do the rest. You know what I'm saying? Even if you do find a virgin, you know what I'm saying, you still going to have to, you know what I mean? Like, just going to put it this way, America has spread all across the world. The West is all over the world. Anyway, though. Not saying it's just the West that has a certain mindset, but we've influenced a lot of what goes on in the world today. So vetting is something that should be realistic. And although there are ways to force a woman to be obsessed with you, and it's still important to understand her values and her beliefs besides that. And in reality though, like, her obsession will make her do anything for you. And when someone is obsessed, a lot goes out of the window for what they'll do to be with you. So the large scale assessment saves you time, keeps you from qualifying the wrong woman. Additionally, remember that if for whatever reason she doesn't qualify, your character ultimately will determine whether she wants to qualify in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Because if she not really into you, she ain't gonna care about qualifying for nothing. And boom, that's cool. You can write her off. So this is why working on yourself is important, because you want to work on the quality of your character. So when you do come across that woman, you can actually recognize her, you can vet her, and then you can let her in. So like I said, keep in mind her obsession on you is everything. And one more tip before I go is that looking for women in general is just something that I don't really do personally. I'm pursuing my purpose, my passion, my work, and when I come across paths I can vet. Lastly, a club or a bar is not where you will most likely find women of high value. And I've been to a lot of clubs and a lot of bars, and I ain't never walked out there with no girl, no long-term nothing. So like this video if you got value, comment below if you have any input, subscribe for more videos like this, and also don't forget to click that alert button so you can know when I'm posting more videos like this. Also, watch another video that I have on this that's similar to that topic. Actually, I think it's on that side. And I'll talk to y'all later.